We're also following the latest developments in Charlotte, where parts of the city are still recovering from another night of violent protests and riots.
Yeah, a new video going viral on social media shows how protesters escalated into riots, which then escalated to random fights. Take a look at this.
Well, Charlotte remains under a state of emergency, and the National Guard has moved in to help local and state police.
This all comes after Keith Scott was shot and killed Tuesday. His family and the mayor are expected to watch body and dash cam video from that shooting, but officials say it won't be made public just yet. Now, Kenneth Craig is following the latest on the condition there in Charlotte. And Kenneth, I should say, we have been watching these pictures pour into our studio here in New York and just across the country. Very unfortunate to watch, especially now that the family of Keith Scott has been calling for basically calm and peace in that area. Take us through the latest on this investigation and why authorities have yet to release that video that so many people want to see.
Well, DeMarco, that video is very difficult to watch. I watched that first thing this morning, but it really just gives you a glimpse into how violent things got here in the city last night, with that man being dragged around a parking lot garage with his pants off. Really sort of a glimpse, a snapshot of what happened here last night. We're standing in front of the Hilton Garden Inn. This is just one of the many hotels here in downtown Charlotte, and you can see what happened right here. These are just 2-3 windows, in the front of the building. You can see this one's cracked. This one's completely smashed in. Earlier this morning, the glass was totally inside. We saw people having their breakfast in here with just glass all over the place. Obviously a pretty crazy situation. Around the side of the building, all of the windows are boarded up, and crews are actually boarding windows up they don't need to, that aren't broken, in preparation for the events tonight. We heard that news conference with the police chief and the mayor a little bit earlier this morning, and the police chief reiterated that the public is not going to see that body camera and dash cam video that so many people want to see, at least not for now. What he did say, though, is that the family will be given the opportunity to take a look at that video, and we expect that to happen at some point today. An interesting thing he said is that, he didn't feel that he would release that video unless there was a compelling reason to do so. But sort of in the same breath, he said the public is not going to see that video. He also said that the video does not definitely capture Scott pulling up a gun and pointing it at police. So that obviously brings up more questions about exactly what it did capture and what we can't see in it.
And Kenneth, what's the sense
Marina
for tonight? Are people bracing for more protests?
They really are. I've talked to a number of people who've been walking up and down the street. As far as the protests go, there's nothing definitively scheduled right now, but there is a lot of talk about various groups coming out here tonight. I heard one person talk about 100 people getting together for a march that wasn't confirmed. I heard some other reports of another group coming together. But the main point in all this is, yes, people are bracing for another night. People are very much on edge. We've seen people come by, look at some of the storefronts. This is just one business out of a number that were just ripped apart last night, and people are really shocked. One woman came up to me and she looked in this window and she goes, "Oh my God, this is disgusting." One guy who was staying at a hotel next to here told me that he stayed inside last night. He originally was going to come out and be part of the peaceful march until everything sort of spiraled out of control. He said he was told by the hotel folks to stay inside. He says it sounded like a war zone out here. So as you know, the National Guard is here with hundreds of folks here throughout the city prepared for tonight, as well as Highway Patrol, who will also be here tonight in addition to the local police.
Oh, that was the best advice for that man, to stay inside. A final question for you, Kenneth. Last night, light rail and bus service was suspended, and so many people were told to stay away from downtown today. Bank of America mainly telling their employees to stay away from downtown. Do you get a sense that the city is sort of trying to come back to some type of normalcy right now, or are things still a little shaky and on edge?
Definitely shaky, definitely on edge, but you're right, the city is trying to come back to normal. They're trying to get everything together. They're trying to board up their windows. They're trying to clean up their storefronts. Everything's back in order today in terms of buses and services, transportation services like that. But as you mentioned, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, another number of other huge businesses that have hundreds, if not thousands, of people down here on the streets every single day. They decided to essentially tell their employees, stay home today, you don't need to come in, don't risk it, avoid this area. So things are very quiet down here. There are not a lot of people walking around, except some of the critical employees and the crews who are kind of working to get things back up and running.
All right, Kenneth Craig, thank you so much. Great job reporting as well.
Absolutely.